You're listening to the Small Business Talk podcast with Cathy Smith.
Small Business Talk is a podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs who want a better way to run their businesses without spending years doing it the hard way. Small Business Talk is hosted by Cathy Smith, who has run the same marketing agency for more than 17 years and helped hundreds of business owners achieve their marketing goals.
Welcome to Small Business Talk, episode 182. Recently I did a guest speaking spot. Great topic. 5 ways to get organic traffic to your website. So I thought you might like to hear this. So today's episode is a repeat of that event. Enjoy. So I started my journey as a designer way back when there wasn't websites or internet or anything like that. So I started in the printing trade, and it was called a graphic lithographer. So it was the pre-runner to graphic design. So I spent a lot of time working on little dots like this, and you would put them all together to make a colour. And then we, of course, got into digital, and we went from this amount of colours right here in the middle to all the ones on the outside. So our palette increased incredibly. So if you've ever had anything printed and it doesn't look like what it looked like on the screen, that's because you've used a colour outside of this little blue square in here. So that's all that can be printed in a commercial printing situation. So that's why you see so many things that are not the same colours. Purples and greens, as you can see, are really bad for that. So in 2001, Catco Enterprise came about. I had a baby and I didn't want to go back to corporate. So I thought I'd take the easy road out and start a business. If I had have known what I know now, maybe I might not have made that choice. But it's been a very interesting road. So what we're here today to talk about is 5 organic ways to get more traffic to your website. And Christmas is coming really quickly. So we want to make sure that we are maximising all those opportunities that we can have with people being in the buying zone. So there's 4.7 billion people that are not on social media. So people say you don't need a website now, just hit socials. Well, socials are great and definitely a tool, but there's a lot of people that don't use socials, and there's a lot of people that don't use socials regularly. So make sure that you are using your website in particular to capture the people that are not on social and the ones that are not using it regularly, and as another way for people to find you. And customers expect it. So you know yourself when you're looking for something, if you can't find a website, you generally will think that particular business is small, because everybody should have a website and we expect people to have a website. So one of the easiest ways to get traffic to your website is articles, to answer people's questions. So Google loves words. So the more words you can put on a website within reason, the better. People don't like words so much because we just want to scan, but Google loves words. So great ways, answer customers' questions, frequently asked questions, the things you get asked over and over and over. And how can you do that? Blog articles are a really good way. And if you go to my website, catcoent.com.au/resources, there's a really good checklist on what to put on your blog articles. Doing it for directories, that's another way that you can leverage other people's audiences. And guest blogging. We're all about referral partners here. So if you can get your article on somebody else's website, that adds value to them and to yourself. Short videos is a really good way at the moment because everybody's liking the reels, they're liking the YouTube shorts, and most of those you can put links back to your website as well. So reels, lives. When you do your lives, make sure that they are captioned because most people watch videos without the sound on. How-tos are another great way. And socials. There's a lot of people not on socials, but there's a lot of people on social too. So make sure that you are using that to go back to your website. So direct links, just be careful with direct links because the socials won't push it out because they don't want you off their social media. So it's a good way to do it as part of your strategy, but not your only strategy. In the comments is a better way to do it, and that way they're more likely to push out your content as well. And sharing into groups. So when you share into groups, you can do the direct link, but of course, don't be that person that only shares when you've got a link. Make sure you are adding value to the group. Email. People forget about email. Email is one of the best ways to get your information out there, because most times people have opted into your email, and you will get a fairly good open rate if you are adding value and making sure that your content is hitting the mark for your customers. So direct promotions. So particularly at this time of year, you'll see lots of Black Friday, Christmas stuff coming up. Newsletters. People say they don't want newsletters, but if you've opted in and it is something you're interested in, you will actually read it. And I'm sure there's plenty of newsletters you do read. There's plenty you don't read as well. So never underestimate the right message to the right audience. Megalogs. Megalogs have become popular in the last little bit. You might say, what are they? It's a combination between a magazine and a catalogue. So you can do those by email. You can also do them by direct mail. So that's our next one, is offline. So snail mail in particular has become the new greatest thing, because nobody does it. What do you get in your letterbox these days? Very limited. Maybe a few bills that you haven't opted online yet, but not a lot of stuff. Business cards. Don't forget to put it on your business card, because people still like things. They're tactile. They like to be able to hang on to something. QR codes are another good way. And QR codes, you can send them to different links. And if you've got a generic link, then you can redirect that if you're doing different things. And like I said, snail mail, because very few people get things in their letterbox. So when you do, it's a bit exciting. And if you can do what's called lumpy mail, so put something in the envelope so it's not flat, then it gives that bit of curiosity as well. So I'm Cathy Smith from Catco Enterprises. So that gives you a whole stack of different types of things that you can do to get traffic to your website. The biggest thing is to make sure that you are getting traffic to your website, because there's absolutely no point in having a website if nobody knows it's there. And the more traffic you get to your website, the more Google will push it. So think about your keywords. So think about the one thing that you want people to use and work on one of those at a time. You can't be everything to everybody. So get your message specific and think about what it is that you want to do to help your people and work on that. Don't try to be Google or Facebook or anything else. Just work on one thing at a time. So Cathy Smith from Catco Enterprises, websites that work.
Love it. Well done, Cathy. Big round of applause for Cathy. That was fantastic. I really love the way that you really were extensive and you covered off a lot of the online and offline and even snail mail that everybody forgets about these days. But we've got a bit of, so important. But we've got a bit of time. So does anybody have any questions for Cathy? Yeah, Ian, go for it.
Hello, Cathy. Look, great presentation. Absolutely loved it. Got some great tips. I'm going to be busy, particularly over the next couple of weeks now with all these tips. I just wanted to get your thoughts, though, about Google Business Profile. And do you see that as being a valuable tool for particularly local business leads?
Yes, absolutely. Google loves Google products. So the more Google things you can do, the more likely Google is to push it out. And yes, there are other search engines, but most of them run off the Google algorithms. So even if you're using some of the environmentally friendly and the ethical ones, they still run off the Google algorithms. So yes, having a Google profile, a Google My Business and a map particularly will definitely help. And if you can get reviews to that, you can actually start to push your listing up the ranking. It used to be first in, first served, but now Google, like everybody else, is looking for engagement. They're looking to deliver the best that they can to their customers, because Google, of course, is a business as well. so that the more relevant things that you can get on your profile, the less bounce you get. So therefore Google will go, well, you're a really good search result for Melbourne NLP, so I'm more likely to send it. And unfortunately, it's not people thinking like that, it's the algorithms. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask one last one, Cathy. If people had to focus on one thing now before the end of the year, which of all those do you think I know it's a bit of a tricky one because everybody's got a different situation, but which one is one of the most powerful ones that you think right now before the end of the year?
Getting their message clear, making sure that they are talking to their audience. Don't try to be everything to everybody because you'll be nothing to nobody. So get your message really clear. If you only deal with air conditioning clients that live in Sydney, then talk to those air conditioning clients in Sydney. Don't try to talk to Melbourne. Don't try to talk to Perth. Don't try to talk to everybody else. Dominate your one area and then expand it after.
Love that. Absolutely brilliant.
Joanna,
you got a question?
Yeah, so search keywords. So for novices, what tool would you recommend to use to reverse engineer which keywords to use? And are there any guidelines around how often and where in the page you use them?
Yeah, there's a lot of guidelines. The big thing you've got to be careful about is not what we call keyword stuffing. So you can't continually do the same keyword line after line after line. So when I originally used to build websites way back in the beginning, you would see these websites and they would have white backgrounds and they would literally be full of white text. You can't do any of that sort of thing these days. So you can't say, I am a web designer, I build beautiful websites, I service websites in this area, and have 100 website words, okay? So you need to have them in your headings. You need to have the page to make sure it is talking about the right message, but you need to be careful of your density. So depending on how your website's built, WordPress has a lot of different plugins that you can use. Most of those will give you densities. And pick one keyword to start with. So what is your main message? What are you trying to be ranked for? So when somebody types in web designer Perth, is that what I want to be ranked for? If that's what I want to be ranked for, then my page needs to be all about that.
Well, Cathy, thank you again. That was really, really fantastic.
Don't forget to subscribe to Small Business Talk podcast and head on over to smallbusinesstalk.com.au/downloads for all the show notes and links to this episode. Remember, to be great, you must start. Pick one tip from today's episode, take action and implement it. Let's meet again next week at the same time and place. Until then, take action. And SBT community, enjoy your journey.